Selene. I have the recordings, the receipts, all of it!
Cormac, please, this isn't what you think. You can't expose this.
They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I've always preferred mine at exactly 147 degrees, the perfect temperature for medium-rare humiliation with a side of social destruction. My name is Cormac Trent, and I'm about to host my own execution dinner. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm serving my wife's betrayal on my finest bone china in my own restaurant, surrounded by people who think I'm too stupid to see what's happening right under my nose. If stupidity were a seasoning, I'd be Gordon Ramsay by now. Cormac, darling, could you pass the wine? Selene's voice drips with the kind of fake sweetness that makes dental work seem pleasant. My wife of 16 years sits across from me, her manicured fingers already reaching for the bottle before I can respond. Everything about her screams expensive. The designer dress that costs more than most people's monthly rent, the jewelry that catches the candlelight just so, the perfectly applied makeup that probably took longer than my morning prep in the kitchen. Next to her sits Martin Drake, her boss, and, though they think I don't know, her lover for the past 8 months. Martin's the kind of man who wears confidence like a cheap cologne, overwhelming and obvious. His PR agency, Drake Communications, handles some of the biggest names in Boston, and he never lets anyone forget it. This place really is something, Cormac, Martin says, gesturing around my flagship restaurant with the kind of appreciation you'd show a child's finger painting. Very homey. Homey. Right. The Copper Kettle has been featured in Food and Wine 3 times, has a 6-month waiting list, and generates more revenue than most small towns. But sure, Martin, homey. We do our best, I reply, keeping my voice level. The truth is, I've been doing a lot more than my best lately. I've been doing surveillance. My daughter Maya, 15 and sharper than any knife in my kitchen, catches my eye from across the table. She sees it too, the way Martin's hand rests just a little too close to Selene's, the way they share those meaningful glances when they think no one's looking. Maya's been my anchor through all of this, the one person whose loyalty I've never had to question. So, Cormac, says Rhea, Selene's sister. Selene tells me business has been slow lately. I nearly choke on my wine. Slow? We're booked solid through Christmas, and it's only September. But this is how it starts. The subtle undermining, the careful construction of a narrative where I'm the failing husband, the disappointing provider, the man who can't keep up with his ambitious wife's needs. Actually, we're having our best year yet, I say, but Rhea's already moved on, whispering something to her husband that makes him snicker. This is my family dinner. These are my guests. And they're all complicit in making me feel like a stranger in my own life. The salmon is excellent, Martin announces, as if he's doing me a personal favor by eating it. Though I have to say, the presentation at Le Bernardin was more sophisticated. Of course he went to Le Bernardin, probably with my wife. Different styles, I manage, watching as Martin places his hand directly over Selene's. Not near it, over it, right there in front of everyone, including our daughter. The conversation continues around me, talk of vacations I wasn't invited on, inside jokes I'm not part of, references to events that happened without me. I'm the host of this dinner, the owner of this restaurant, the man paying for every bite they take, and yet I'm somehow the outsider. Cormac's always been so simple in his tastes, Selene says, and the table erupts in polite laughter. Simple. There's that word again, the one she's been using more and more lately. Simple tastes, simple pleasures, simple mind. I excuse myself to check on the kitchen, but really I need air. I need space. I need to remember why I'm putting myself through this elaborate charade. The answer is in my office safe. Photographs, bank statements, hotel receipts, and one particularly damning audio recording that would make a divorce attorney weep with joy. I've been collecting evidence for 3 months, ever since I hired a private investigator named Tommy Kellerman, a former cop who specializes in matrimonial cases and has the moral flexibility of a yoga instructor. When I return to the table, Martin has moved his chair closer to Selene's. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. How do you live with him? Martin whispers to Selene, but his voice carries in the intimate space. He's so pathetic and dull. The words hit like a physical blow, but I don't flinch. Instead, I smile. I've been waiting for this moment, the moment when their arrogance finally outweighs their caution. I stand up slowly, deliberately, and walk to my office. When I return, I'm carrying a manila envelope, thick with documentation. The table falls silent as I place it in the center, right between the candles and the flower arrangement. "What's that, honey?" Selene asks, but her voice has lost its sweetness. There's something else there now, fear. "Open it," I say simply. Martin reaches for it first, his confidence intact right up until he sees the first photograph. Him and Selene entering the Ritz-Carlton downtown, her hand on his chest, his mouth on her neck. The second photo shows them leaving 3 hours later. The third shows them at dinner last Tuesday, when Selene told me she was working late. Selene's face goes white. "Cormac, I can explain." "Keep looking," I interrupt. Bank statements showing transfers from our joint account to Martin's personal account. Hotel receipts charged to my credit card. Text messages between them discussing the plan and how he'll never figure it out because he's too trusting. But the real kicker is the audio file, which I play from my phone. It's from last week, recorded in Martin's office when they thought they were alone. "He's so clueless," Selene's voice, crystal clear. "Walking around like he owns the world when really he's just a glorified short-order cook." "The restaurant's the only thing keeping him relevant," Martin's voice responds. "Once we figure out how to get our hands on his assets, we won't need to pretend anymore." I can't wait to be done with this charade. 16 years of marriage to that boring little man. The recording ends. The table is silent. Maya's staring at her mother with a mixture of disgust and disbelief. Ria's mouth is hanging open. Martin looks like he's about to be sick. "Surprise," I say, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "Turns out the boring little man isn't as stupid as you thought." Selene starts to cry, but they're not tears of remorse. They're tears of panic. "Cormac, please, we can work this out." "Work what out?" I ask. "The part where you've been stealing from me, or the part where you've been screwing your boss in hotels that I'm paying for?" Martin finally finds his voice. "Now wait just a minute." "No, you wait." I lean forward, my hands flat on the table. "You want to know what's pathetic, Martin?" Pathetic is a 48-year-old man who has to seduce his employee's wife because he can't find anyone stupid enough to fall for his act voluntarily. Pathetic is thinking you're smarter than everyone else when you're actually just louder. I turn to Selene. "And you, darling wife. Pathetic is throwing away 16 years of marriage for a man who talks about you like you're a business acquisition." The silence stretches for what feels like hours, but is probably only seconds. Then Maya stands up. "I'm going to pack," she says quietly. "I want to live with Dad." She walks away, and her words hit Selene harder than anything I could have said. "Maya, wait." Selene calls after her, but Maya's already gone. Martin tries to salvage the situation. "Look, Cormac, maybe we can come to some kind of arrangement." I laugh, and it's not a pleasant sound. "An arrangement? You mean like the arrangement where you disappear from my restaurant, my life, and my city before I decide to share these photos with your wife? Or maybe the arrangement where Selene moves out of my house by the end of the week?" "You can't just..." Selene starts. "I can, and I will." I gather up the photos and documents, sliding them back into the envelope. Dinner's over, folks. And so is my marriage. As I walk toward the kitchen, I hear Selene sobbing and Martin trying to quiet her. But I don't look back. I've got a restaurant to run and a new life to plan. The boring little man just became very, very interesting. The next morning arrives with all the subtlety of a kitchen fire. I'm in my office at 6 a.m., 3 hours before we open, nursing my second cup of coffee and watching my phone explode with notifications. Apparently, word travels fast in Boston's social circles, especially when it involves scandal. My restaurant manager, Rafe Medina, knocks on my door. He's been with me for 8 years, long enough to read my moods like a wine list. "Boss, we've got a situation," he says, settling into the chair across from my desk. "Martin Drake's been calling every 10 minutes since 5 a.m. He's threatening to sue, to shut us down, to ruin our reputation. The usual rich guy tantrum." "Let him call," I say. "I'm not taking his calls today, or any day." There's more. Selene's been calling too. She wants to meet, says she can explain everything. I almost laugh. "Explain what? The hotel receipts, the stolen money, the audio recording where she called me a glorified short-order cook? Tell her I'm busy," I say. "Permanently busy." Rafe grins. He's never liked Selene, though he's been professional enough to keep his opinions to himself. Until now. "You know, boss, I always wondered how she could afford those shopping trips to New York. On a PR salary, even a good one doesn't stretch that far." "She was supplementing her income," I say dryly. "With my income." My phone buzzes with a text from Maya. "Dad, Mom's freaking out. She keeps asking where you put the important papers." I told her to ask her boyfriend. I smile despite everything. That's my girl. The morning prep goes smoothly until 10:30, when Martin Drake storms through our front doors like he owns the place. He's dressed in what I'm sure he considers intimidating attire. A dark suit, expensive watch, the kind of sunglasses that scream, "I have lawyers." "Trent," he shouts across the dining room, causing several of my staff to stop what they are doing. "We need to talk. Now." I emerge from the kitchen, wiping my hands on my apron. It's a deliberate choice, the apron. It reminds him that I'm the working man here, the one who actually creates value instead of just talking about it. "Martin," I say pleasantly, "I don't recall inviting you to my restaurant." "Cut the act, Cormac. You know why I'm here?" "Enlighten me." He steps closer, trying to use his height advantage to intimidate me. Martin's about 3 inches taller than my 5'10", and he clearly thinks that matters. "Those photos, that recording, you obtained them illegally. I could have you arrested." "Could you?" I ask, genuinely curious. "Because my lawyer says otherwise. Private investigators are legal in Massachusetts, Martin. So is photographing people in public places. So is recording conversations when one party consents. And since Selene's been using my credit cards to fund your little romance, I'd say I'm definitely a party to your conversations about spending my money." His face reddens. "You're going to regret this, Trent. I have connections in this city that could shut you down permanently." "Connections like your wife?" I ask. "Because I'm pretty sure she's going to be too busy with divorce proceedings to help you intimidate local business owners." That stops him cold. "What are you talking about?" I pull out my phone and show him a screenshot of an email I sent this morning. I thought Margaret should know where her husband's been spending his evenings, and her money. Funny thing about joint bank accounts. They leave such clear paper trails. Martin's confidence crumbles like week-old bread. "You bastard! You sent her the photos?" "I sent her everything," I confirm. "Photos, receipts, bank statements, even that charming recording where you two discuss my assets like you're already dividing them up. You can't. This is harassment." "This is consequences," I interrupt, something you're apparently not familiar with. That's when Martin makes his first real mistake. He grabs my arm. "Listen to me, you pathetic little—" He doesn't get to finish the sentence because my friend Brix Russo chooses that moment to emerge from the kitchen. Brix got his nickname in high school when he broke his hand punching a brick wall, then kept fighting with the broken hand. He's my oldest friend, my business partner, and the kind of man who communicates primarily through intimidation and loyalty. "Problem here, Cormac?" Brix asks, and his voice carries the kind of quiet menace that makes smart people step away. Martin, apparently, is not smart people. "This doesn't concern you," Martin says, still gripping my arm. "Actually, it does," Brix replies, moving closer. "See, Cormac's my partner. This is our restaurant, and you're currently assaulting him in our place of business." "I'm not—" "You're grabbing him," Brix points out reasonably. "That's assault. I could call the cops or—" He pauses, looking thoughtful. "We could handle this ourselves." Martin finally releases my arm, but his anger is making him stupid. "You think you can threaten me? Do you know who I am?" "Yeah," I say. "You're the guy who's been screwing my wife and stealing my money. You're also the guy whose own wife just filed for divorce about 20 minutes ago." I show him another screenshot. This one from Margaret Drake's Facebook page, where she's just updated her status to separated and posted a message about discovering the true character of people you trust. Martin's phone starts buzzing immediately. He looks at it and goes pale. Margaret's lawyer works fast, I observe. Probably helps that I sent him copies of everything, too. "You're destroying my life," Martin says, and for the first time he sounds less angry than desperate. "No," I correct him. "I'm revealing your life. There's a difference." That's when Martin makes his second mistake. He tries to lunge at me. Brix catches him before he can take 2 steps, wrapping one massive arm around Martin's chest and lifting him slightly off the ground. "Easy there, Tiger," Brix says. "Let's not do anything we'll regret." "Let me go!" Martin struggles against Brix's grip, but it's like watching a child fight a bear. "I've got a better idea," I say, inspiration striking. "Brix, remember that broken lock on the walk-in freezer?" Brix grins. "The one that sometimes sticks shut from the outside?" "That's the one." We march Martin toward the kitchen, him protesting every step of the way. The walk-in freezer is our largest cold storage unit, big enough to hold a week's worth of inventory and one very unhappy PR executive. "You can't do this," Martin shouts as we approach the freezer door. "This is kidnapping." "This is a timeout," I correct him. "Think of it as a cooling-off period." We push him inside the freezer. It's cold, but not dangerously so. Maybe 40 degrees. And close the door. The broken lock mechanism means he can't open it from the inside, but we can release him whenever we want. Almost immediately we hear him pounding on the door and shouting, Let me out. This is illegal. I'll have you arrested. He's got quite a set of lungs, Brix observes. Wait until he sees the best part, I say, pulling out my phone. The walk-in freezer has a security camera. We installed it after some inventory went missing last year. The camera feeds directly to the closed-circuit television system we use for security, which includes a monitor in the dining room that customers can see. I switch the monitor from its usual display to the freezer camera feed. Martin's face fills the screen, red with anger and cold, as he pounds frantically on the door. The sound is muted, but his mouth is clearly forming words that would make a sailor blush. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce to the dining room, where the lunch crowd is starting to gather, today's entertainment is brought to you by Martin Drake, PR executive and marriage counselor. He's demonstrating the latest in cooling off techniques. The customers start laughing. Someone takes out their phone and starts recording. Within minutes, Martin's freezer tantrum is being live-streamed to social media. I let him stay in there for exactly 10 minutes, long enough to be humiliated, not long enough to be dangerous. When we finally open the door, he stumbles out, shivering and furious. "You're insane," he shouts. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I say. "But you might want to check your phone first." His phone has been buzzing nonstop while he was in the freezer. Notifications from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The video of his meltdown is already going viral. #freezing. Meltdown is trending, one of my customers calls out helpfully. Martin stares at his phone in horror as the notifications keep coming. His professional reputation, already damaged by the divorce filing, is now being obliterated in real time by social media. "Get out of my restaurant," I tell him quietly, "and don't come back." He stumbles toward the door, still staring at his phone. Just before he reaches it, he turns back. "This isn't over, Trent." "Yes, it is," I reply. "You just don't know it yet." After he's gone, the dining room erupts in applause. Several customers come up to congratulate me, having pieced together enough of the situation to understand that justice was served along with lunch. My phone buzzes with a text from Selene. "What did you do to Martin? He's not answering his phone and people are posting videos." I text back, "I gave him exactly what he deserved. You're next." The lunch rush is our busiest ever. 3 days after the freezer incident, I'm discovering that revenge has an interesting side effect. It's addictive. Martin's humiliation video has over 2 million views, and my restaurant has become something of a local celebrity hotspot. People are making reservations just to see where the freezer justice happened. But Martin and Selene aren't done yet, and neither am I. I'm in my office reviewing inventory reports when Maya calls. She's staying at my brother's house across town, neutral territory while the divorce proceedings begin. "Dad, something weird happened at school today," she says, and I can hear the concern in her voice. "What kind of weird?" "Mom showed up during lunch. She wasn't supposed to pick me up, and she seemed frantic. She kept asking about some papers, saying she needed to get into the house to find important documents. The house, where I keep my backup copies of everything." "What did you tell her?" "That I didn't have a key and didn't know anything about papers. But Dad, she seemed really desperate, and she wasn't alone." "Who was with her?" "Some guy I didn't recognize, tall, kind of scary looking. He stayed in the car, but he kept watching the school entrance." This is escalating beyond simple adultery. Now they're involving my daughter and potentially threatening her safety. "Maya, listen to me carefully. Don't go anywhere alone for the next few days. If your mother contacts you again, call me immediately. And if you see that man again, call 911. "Dad, you're scaring me." "I'm being careful. There's a difference." After I hang up, I call Tommy Kellerman, my private investigator. "Tommy, I need you to do something for me. My wife and her boyfriend might try to break into my house. I need surveillance." "Legal surveillance," Tommy clarifies. "We can watch the house, document any attempted break-ins, but we can't enter the property ourselves." "That's fine. Just make sure you get everything on video." That evening, I'm at the restaurant when Tommy calls. "You were right," he says. "They just pulled up to your house. Your wife, the boyfriend, and a third guy who looks like muscle for hire." "Are they inside?" "Not yet. They're sitting in the car, probably planning their approach. You want me to call the cops?" "Not yet. Let them commit to breaking and entering first. I want this to be ironclad." 20 minutes later, Tommy calls back. "They're in. Used a key for the front door, but then they forced the lock on what looks like a home office. That's breaking and entering, even if she lives there." "Get it all on video." "Already am." I hang up and turn to Brix, who's been listening to my side of the conversation. "They're robbing my house," I tell him. "Want to go surprise them?" I consider it, but then I have a better idea. "No, let them take whatever they want. It's not going to help them anyway." "What do you mean?" I smile. I mean, I moved all the important stuff 3 days ago. What they're going to find are copies of documents they already know I have, and a few extra surprises I left behind. The surprises are security cameras I installed in every room of the house, all feeding to a cloud storage system they don't know about. By the time they're done ransacking my home office, I'll have enough evidence to put them away for burglary. But that's not the best part. The best part is the envelope I left in the desk drawer, labeled Insurance Policy in big letters. Inside is a single document, a restraining order application, already filled out and ready to file, along with a note that says, "Thanks for the breaking and entering evidence." C. My phone rings. It's Selene. "Cormac, we need to talk." "Do we? Because I thought we covered everything at dinner the other night." "This is serious. Martin says you've been harassing him, threatening him." "Martin's been watching too many movies. I haven't threatened anyone." "The freezer thing was assault." "The freezer thing was a cooling off period for a man who grabbed me in my own restaurant. If he wants to press charges, he's welcome to try. I'm sure the jury will love the video of him attacking me." There's a long pause. Then, "We found your cameras." "Did you? All of them?" Another pause, longer this time. "What do you want, Cormac?" "I want you out of my life. Permanently. I want a clean divorce with full custody of Maya, and I want Martin to disappear from Boston entirely." "That's ridiculous. You can't just—" "I can, and I will. You see, Selene, you made a crucial mistake. You assumed I was too stupid to protect myself, but while you were planning my destruction, I was documenting yours." "What are you talking about?" "Check your email." I hang up and immediately send her a message with video attachments. Footage of her, Martin, and their hired muscle breaking into my house, forcing locks, going through my personal papers. The timestamp clearly shows it happened tonight, and the audio picks up their conversation about finding something they can use against him. My phone rings again immediately. "You bastard," Selena hisses. "You set us up. I gave you enough rope to hang yourselves. You chose to use it. What do you want?" "I already told you. Clean divorce, full custody, Martin gone. Or I send this video to the police, the local news, and every social media platform I can find. You're destroying my life. You destroyed your own life. I'm just documenting it." The line goes quiet, except for the sound of Selene crying. But these aren't tears of remorse. They're tears of rage and frustration. "This isn't over," she finally says. "Yes, it is. You just haven't accepted it yet." After I hang up, Brick shakes his head admiringly. "Remind me never to piss you off, Cormac." "You won't," I say. "You're loyal. That's the difference between you and them." My phone buzzes with a text from Maya. "Dad, Mom just called screaming about lawyers and jail time. What's happening?" I text back. "Your mother made some bad choices. Don't worry about it. Justice is being served." The next morning, Martin's PR agency releases a statement announcing his immediate resignation to pursue other opportunities. The statement is corporate speak for, "We fired him before he could embarrass us further." Selene's agency follows suit by the end of the week. But the real victory comes when Maya calls me that afternoon. "Dad, I want to come home." "Are you sure? Things might get complicated while the divorce is finalized." "I'm sure. Mom's been calling me all day, crying and making promises she can't keep. I'm tired of the drama. I just want to be with the parent who isn't crazy." That evening, Maya comes home to find her room exactly as she left it, plus a few new touches. Fresh flowers, her favorite snacks, and a note on her pillow that says, "Welcome home, kiddo." Dad. We order pizza and watch movies, and for the first time in months, my house feels like a home again. But I know this isn't over. Desperate people do desperate things, and I've made Martin and Selene very desperate indeed. I'm ready for whatever comes next. I should have known that cornering desperate people would make them dangerous. The call comes at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, jolting me from the first decent sleep I've had in weeks. "Mr. Trent?" The voice is unfamiliar, professional. "This is Officer Sarah Martinez with Boston PD. We have your daughter here at the station." "What happened? Is she hurt?" "She's fine, physically. But we need you to come down here. There's been an incident." I'm dressed and in my car within 5 minutes, my mind racing through possibilities. Maya was supposed to be safe at home, asleep in her room. How did she end up at a police station? The drive to the station feels like it takes hours, though it's probably only 20 minutes. Officer Martinez meets me at the front desk, a woman in her 30s with kind eyes and the bearing of someone who's seen too much. "Mr. Trent, your daughter is okay, but she's pretty shaken up. Your ex-wife attempted to take her from your home tonight." "Take her? What do you mean, take her?" According to Maya, Mrs. Trent showed up around midnight with a man she didn't recognize. They tried to convince her to come with them, saying there was a family emergency. When Maya refused and tried to call you, they attempted to force her into their car. My hands clench into fists. They tried to kidnap my daughter. That's what it looks like. Fortunately, Maya was smart enough to activate a panic alarm on her phone, and one of your neighbors called 911 when they heard her screaming. Where's Selene now? We're still looking for her. She and her companion fled when they heard sirens. But Mr. Trent, there's something else you need to know. She leads me to a small conference room where Maya is sitting with a victim's advocate, clutching a cup of hot chocolate. When she sees me, she jumps up and wraps her arms around me. Dad, I was so scared. Mom wasn't acting like herself. She kept saying we had to leave, that you were in danger and she needed to protect me. It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now. Officer Martinez sits across from us. Maya, can you tell your father what else your mother said? Maya looks uncomfortable. She said Dad had been lying about everything and that she had proof you were the one stealing money. She said if I didn't come with her, you'd go to jail and I'd end up in foster care. The audacity of it takes my breath away. After everything, the evidence, the recordings, the break-in, Selene is trying to flip the script and make me the villain. There's more, Officer Martinez continues. We found this in your driveway. She slides a manila envelope across the table. Inside are photographs, but not the ones I took of Selene and Martin. These are pictures of me meeting with Tommy Kellerman, my private investigator. Pictures of me at the bank, making large cash withdrawals. Pictures of me entering a storage facility across town. Someone's been following you, Mr. Trent, building a case to make you look like you're hiding assets or planning something illegal. I study the photos more carefully. They're taken from a distance with a telephoto lens, and they're deliberately misleading. The bank withdrawals were for legitimate business expenses, but without context, they look suspicious. The storage facility visit was to store some of Selene's belongings that I removed from the house, but again, without context, it looks like I'm hiding something. They're trying to build a counter-narrative, I realize. Make me look like the guilty party. It gets worse, Officer Martinez says. We've received reports that someone's been spreading rumors about your restaurant. Health code violations, tax problems, employee complaints. All anonymous, all unsubstantiated, but designed to damage your reputation. This is war now. Not just a divorce, not just adultery. They're trying to destroy everything I've built. What can we do? I ask. Well, the attempted kidnapping gives us grounds for a restraining order. And if we can prove your ex-wife is behind the harassment campaign, we can add stalking charges. Dad, Maya says quietly, there's something else. When Mom was trying to get me into the car, she was on the phone with someone. I heard her say, he's not cooperating. We need to try the nuclear option. Nuclear option. That doesn't sound good. Did you hear anything else? The man with her, he wasn't like Martin. He was scarier. He had tattoos on his neck, and he kept looking around like he expected trouble, and he called Mom Lady, not by her name, like he didn't really know her. Hired muscle, Officer Martinez confirms. We've seen this before in contentious divorces. One party hires people to intimidate or harass the other. But why take Maya? What would that accomplish? Leverage, the officer explains. If they had your daughter, they could force you to drop the divorce proceedings, give up your evidence, maybe even sign over assets. The scope of their desperation is becoming clear. This isn't just about hiding an affair anymore. They're planning to destroy my life completely. I need to make some calls, I tell Officer Martinez. Of course. Maya can stay here until you're ready to take her home. We'll have a patrol car follow you, just to be safe. Outside the conference room, I call Tommy Kellerman. Tommy, they tried to kidnap Maya. Jesus Christ, Cormac, is she okay? She's fine, but this has escalated beyond anything we planned for. I need you to find out who Selene hired, and I need to know what this nuclear option is. I'm on it. But Cormac, if they're willing to grab your kid, they're not playing games anymore. You need to be careful. I'm past careful. I'm moving to full-scale warfare. My next call is to my lawyer, David Chen, waking him up at 4 a.m. David, I need an emergency restraining order, and I need charges filed for attempted kidnapping. Slow down, Cormac. What happened? I give him the abbreviated version, and I can hear him taking notes. This changes everything, he says when I'm finished. With attempted kidnapping and stalking, we can push for full custody immediately. But Cormac, if they're this desperate, they might try something even more extreme. What do you mean? I mean, people who are willing to kidnap children are willing to do other things too. You need protection. After I hang up, I sit in my car outside the police station and think. Selene and Martin have escalated this beyond a simple divorce. They've made it personal, they've threatened my daughter, and they've tried to destroy my business. It's time to end this permanently. I call Brix. Brix, I need you to close the restaurant tomorrow. We're going on the offensive. About time. What's the plan? We're going to give them exactly what they deserve. Publicly, legally, and permanently. I'm listening. Remember that gala fundraiser next week? The one for the Children's Hospital, where all of Boston's social elite will be gathered? Yeah, the one at the Fairmont. What about it? Selene and Martin will be there. It's the biggest social event of the season, and they'll want to show their faces, try to control the narrative. So we're going to make sure their narrative gets rewritten, in front of everyone who matters in this city. Now you're talking. What do you need me to do? Get us tickets to that gala, and Tommy Kellerman, and maybe a few other friends who don't mind seeing justice served with champagne and canapes. Consider it done. When I go back inside to collect Maya, she looks up at me with eyes that are older than they should be. Dad, are you going to be okay? I mean, really okay? I kneel down to her level. Maya, I promise you that after next week, your mother and Martin will never bother us again. This ends now. What are you going to do? I smile, and it's not entirely pleasant. I'm going to give them a public education in consequences. As we drive home with a police escort, Maya falls asleep in the passenger seat, but I'm wide awake, planning the final act of this drama. Selene wanted to play games with my life. Now she's going to learn that some games have permanent consequences. The Children's Hospital Gala is Boston's equivalent of the Met Gala, a chance for the city's elite to see and be seen while writing tax-deductible checks for charity. It's held every year at the Fairmont Copley Plaza, and tickets cost more than most people's monthly salary. Tonight, it's going to be the stage for the final act of my revenge. I'm wearing my best tuxedo, the one I bought for my wedding 16 years ago. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm wearing it to end my marriage. Maya is staying with my brother for the evening. She's been through enough, and what I'm planning tonight isn't suitable for a 15-year-old audience. Brix picks me up at 7, looking uncomfortable in his rented tux, but determined to see this through. You sure about this, Cormac? He asks as we drive toward the hotel. Once you do this, there's no going back. There's already no going back, I reply. They tried to kidnap my daughter, Brix. They crossed every line there is to cross. Tommy Kellerman is waiting for us in the hotel lobby, along with 3 other men I recognize as his associates, former cops who now work private security. They're all wearing tuxedos, but they still look like what they are. Dangerous men pretending to be gentlemen. Everything's set, Tommy tells me. Hotel security is cooperating. They don't like people who threaten children. The AV team knows to expect a special presentation, and I've got people positioned throughout the ballroom with cameras. What about the police? Detective Martinez is here undercover. If things get out of hand, she'll step in. But she's hoping you'll give her enough evidence to make arrests. The ballroom is magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, gold trim, tables set with china that costs more per place setting than most people spend on dinner. Boston's power elite are gathered in their finest clothes, drinking champagne and congratulating themselves on their generosity. I spot Selene immediately. She's wearing a stunning red dress that probably costs more than my monthly mortgage payment, and she's working the room like the professional she is. She looks confident, composed, like a woman who has everything under control. Martin is beside her, playing the role of supportive companion. He's recovered some of his swagger since the freezer incident, probably convinced that tonight will help rehabilitate his image. They haven't seen me yet, but that's about to change. The evening follows the usual pattern: cocktails, dinner, speeches about the hospital's good work. I sit at a table near the back, watching and waiting. Several people recognize me from the viral freezer video and come over to chat, treating me like a minor celebrity. I'm polite but distracted, my attention focused on the stage where the evening's program is unfolding. Finally, it's time. The hospital's CEO takes the microphone to introduce the evening's final speaker, a presentation about family values and community support. What the audience doesn't know is that I've arranged to be that speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO announces, please welcome Cormac Trent, owner of the Copper Kettle and longtime supporter of our children's programs. The applause is polite but confused. I wasn't on the original program. I see Selene's face go pale as I walk toward the stage. Martin looks like he's seen a ghost. I take the microphone and look out over the crowd of Boston's finest citizens. Thank you, I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the ballroom's sound system. I want to talk to you tonight about family values and what happens when those values are betrayed. The room is completely quiet now. This isn't the usual charity gala speech, and everyone knows it. 3 months ago, I discovered that my wife of 16 years was having an affair with her boss. Not just an affair, they were stealing money from our joint accounts, using my credit cards to fund their relationship, and planning to take everything I'd worked for. Gasps ripple through the audience. I can see people turning to look at Selene, who's frozen in her chair like a deer in headlights. But that's not the worst part, I continue. The worst part is what they did when I discovered their betrayal. The lights dim, and the large screens around the ballroom light up with images, the photos of Selene and Martin at hotels, the bank statements showing the stolen money, the recordings of their conversations about my assets. They tried to destroy my business with false reports to health inspectors and tax authorities. They hired private investigators to follow me, hoping to find something they could use against me. More images flash on the screens. The photos of me that were clearly taken without my knowledge, documents showing the false reports filed against my restaurant. And when all of that failed, I say, my voice growing harder, they tried to kidnap my 15-year-old daughter. The final images appear on screen. Security footage from my neighborhood showing Selene and an unknown man attempting to force Maya into a car, followed by police reports documenting the incident. The ballroom erupts in shocked murmurs. I can see people at Selene's table moving away from her, creating physical distance as if her behavior might be contagious. Now, you might ask why I'm sharing this with you tonight, I continue. It's because these two people, my wife Selene Voss and her lover Martin Drake, are sitting right here in this room, pretending to be upstanding members of our community while they plot to destroy families and threaten children. A spotlight finds Selene and Martin at their table. They're both standing now, Martin trying to pull Selene toward the exit, but the crowd is too thick and too interested in the drama unfolding. Selene, Martin, I call out from the stage. Since you're here, would you like to address these allegations? Martin finally finds his voice. This is slander, lies, and manipulation. Is it? I ask, because I have something else to share. The screens light up with new footage, the security video from my house showing Selene, Martin, and their hired muscle breaking in, forcing locks, going through my personal papers. This video was taken 3 nights ago. Breaking and entering, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping. All documented, all reported to police, all happening while you two were pretending to be victims. The crowd is fully engaged now, some people taking out their phones to record the confrontation. This is going to be all over social media within minutes. Selene finally speaks, her voice shaking with rage. You bastard! You planned this. You set us up. I documented your choices, I correct her. Every photo, every recording, every piece of evidence came from decisions you made. I just made sure there were consequences. You're destroying our lives, Martin shouts. No, I reply, my voice calm and clear. You destroyed your own lives. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. That's when Martin makes his final mistake. He starts pushing through the crowd toward the stage, his face red with fury. I'll eliminate you for this, he screams. The threat, made in front of 300 witnesses and multiple cameras, seals his fate. Hotel security moves to intercept him, but he breaks free and actually makes it to the stage before Tommy Kellerman's men stop him. The struggle is brief but dramatic. Martin swinging wildly, security guards restraining him, the crowd pressing closer to get a better view. In the chaos, I notice Detective Martinez moving through the crowd, speaking into a radio. Ladies and gentlemen, I say into the microphone as Martin is dragged away. I want to thank you for your attention tonight. Sometimes the truth isn't pretty, but it's necessary. These two people threatened my daughter, stole my money, and tried to destroy my life. Tonight, you've seen the evidence for yourselves. The applause that follows is unlike anything I've ever heard. Not polite charity gala applause, but genuine appreciation for justice served. As I leave the stage, I see Selene being escorted out by police officers. Her red dress is wrinkled, her makeup smeared, her composure completely shattered. She looks at me as they lead her past, and for just a moment, I see not anger, but defeat. This isn't over, she whispers, but there's no conviction in her voice. Yes, it is, I reply. It's completely over. Outside the hotel, Detective Martinez approaches me. Well, that was certainly dramatic, she says, and effective. We've got enough evidence now to file charges for breaking and entering, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping, and making terroristic threats. Plus, Martin's outburst tonight was caught on camera by about 50 people. What happens now? Now they face the consequences of their choices, just like you wanted. 3 hours later, I'm home with Maya, who insisted on waiting up to hear how everything went. So it's really over? She asks. It's really over. Your mother and Martin are going to be too busy with criminal charges and civil lawsuits to bother us anymore. Do you think she'll ever change? Become a better person? I consider the question carefully. I don't know, sweetheart, but that's not our problem anymore. Our problem is figuring out what we want to do with the rest of our lives. I know what I want to do, Maya says. What's that? I want to help you run the restaurant, learn the business, maybe go to culinary school. I smile, and for the first time in months, it's a completely genuine expression of happiness. I think that sounds perfect. As I turn off the lights and head to bed, I reflect on the evening's events. Selene and Martin got exactly what they deserved: public humiliation, criminal charges, and the complete destruction of their reputations. They played games with my life and lost everything in the process. Some people might say I went too far, that revenge isn't worth it. But those people have never had their daughter threatened, their life's work attacked, their trust betrayed by the person who promised to love them forever. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's always necessary. And tonight justice was served with champagne and a side of permanent consequences.